Hi, I'm David Safin, Associate Professor of Digital Art and Media here at Saint Vincent College. This is my office, and these are my office hours. As you know, the purpose of our little show is to introduce you to local filmmakers and to show you some of their work. Today, I'm going to introduce you to two filmmakers, Kieran Rapp and Brennan Valladares. Now, what's interesting about these two is that both of them have actually physically been in my office because they are former students of mine. Kieran from the class of 2024 and Brennan from the class of 2023. And the film they're going to be talking about, Don't Count Us Out, was a student project they made while they were here. So how you doing, guys?
Doing good.
Yeah, really good. Excited to be
good.
here. So
Glad to hear it. So, Brennan, why don't you tell us about the inspiration of this project? Why did you make this film?
Yeah, so initially it was for your class, documentary productions, and when you told us we kind of had free range on the topic we would choose for our final project, I immediately went to basketball because I'm a huge basketball fan. And initially at the beginning of my senior year, I was going to play basketball for St. Vincent, and I was on the men's team, so I got to meet some of the guys, and I did some of the conditioning stuff with some of the girls, and so I got to meet some of the players early on into my senior year. And really, I wanted to tell a story about a sport that I love, but more importantly, about women's basketball, because it seemed like, well, there still is a little bit of a divide between men's and women's sports. There's almost an overlooking or like a disrespectful kind of stigma around women's sports, especially women's basketball. And I decided I kind of wanted to shed some light on like the excitement. It's basketball at the end of the day, and regardless if it's men or women, all the players are super skilled, super competitive. And me as a competitor, I really wanted to tell just a story about a team overcoming a lot of adversity at the beginning of the year and achieving something great for not only the school but their team individually.
So this film is about the 2022-2023 women's basketball team here at St. Vincent. And as you'll see, there was a lot of work that was put into it, well beyond what the parameters of the assignment was. So Kieran, can you talk about all that went into the production of this project?
yeah, sure. So we had two main cameras pretty much going the entire time. We actually shot most of it on my phone that had a adaptable anamorphic lens for like most of the headshot interviews, and then for like game day, shots, practice shots, all that stuff. We used Brennan's Sony cam, handy cam, which was really nice. We also had to be in contact with the pack a lot from Burger to get a lot of our, live stream clips and all that stuff, so we could interweave with our story. And all the players said whenever they were about to be interviewed, like, wow, this looks like a professional set because of how many cameras we had going and lights going and everything. I think that what we were trying to do for them was more than just a class project. It was trying to show them that they are worth, their story is worth telling. And I think we proved that in just showing how much we were going into making this project look really, really well professional. So.
Yeah, and that was what part of the documentary class is about, is shining light on stories that might need a little bit more of a spotlight, stories that people don't often hear. So why don't we take a couple minutes and just watch the introduction of the film?
When you see preseason rankings, it's posted everywhere, like it's all over social media. It's hard not to see. And then it's also hard not to listen to people talking to you. So like people knew that we came in as the 6th seed, but we didn't really care about that because we knew that that was going based off of what we did last year and with the team that we had last year. And we knew that this year's team was a completely different team than last year's team. And in my opinion, outside noise is honestly, it's just stupid in a way. Like, it's just people that don't really know the game completely, don't really know how like the sport is played and how everything can play out so differently. And that's why we tried not to focus on it so much.
All right, so welcome back. That was a really good clip, and it really showed the production value that you guys had and put into this. So, Brennan, let me ask, what kind of access did you have to the team? You know, what was their involvement in this production?
Yeah, so initially we had emailed Coach Petruska if we were able to do the documentary and if he was okay if we filmed some of his practices and games. And we went and met with him and he said it's all good. He asked some of his seniors if they were okay with that. And so we showed up to a practice beginning February 2023, and we kind of explained our idea of the project to the team and they all seemed to get on board. So right from that point on, we had access to their practices. We had access to some of their film sessions, but more specifically in the playoffs. They had some yoga sessions that we went to. And then obviously the games we got to go and film. And it was kind of surprising is the fact that they also let us go into the locker rooms during games. I think that was really eye-opening. I don't know if it was because we were like flies on the walls and we weren't very bothering to them with our cameras, but I also think we built like good relationships with them throughout the whole filming process, and they were really open to just allowing us to tell their story, and that was really big for us, and we're really appreciative of that we were able to get that behind the scene looks. I think it really added character to the film.
Yeah, the style of production, obviously you used a variety of styles, but when we're talking about that fly on the wall, it is that technique known as cinema verite, where the filmmakers immerse themselves into an event or into somebody's lives, and that you actually become part of their lives. So when you say they got comfortable with you, comfortable enough to let you into the locker room, it really shows how that style can work. That it only works either if they pretend you're not there or they get so comfortable with you that they are themselves, because it's so hard for people to be themselves when they know that they're being recorded. So, Brennan talked about wanting to shine a light on women's basketball, women's athletics, but there was also this particular team. So what was so special about the season that was ahead of this team when you guys decided to start documenting it there, Kieran?
Specifically with this season, they had a pretty successful season prior, or I believe 2 seasons before that, and then they kind of went through some rocky road in the prior season, and so the entire pack was kind of like diminishing their performances. Right at the beginning of the year, they were projecting them to land 6th in the pack. And they kind of all took that personally. And so whenever we were going through our interview process and, hearing that, we were like, well, they're either going to do good or they're going to fall into that stigma of they're going to land in 6th. And I felt like they really took on that underdog mentality and went above and beyond, obviously, as it showed in the documentary. And we unfortunately didn't get to capture all of it, but we got to showcase it through our, stylistic editing that they did go on an 11-game win streak. like right in the middle of the season, which like kind of carried their momentum throughout, the rest of the playoffs and everything. And their final game of that 11-game win streak, they actually upset nationally ranked W&J. They were ranked 15th in the nation, I believe. And that was a huge victory for them, not only to carry over into the playoffs, but just to show what this season was kind of holding for them, like a kind of a foreshadow, like nothing was really stopping them at that point. An 11-game win streak with some competitive teams is pretty dominating. So we were unfortunate that we couldn't capture all of that physically, but to showcase that in the way that we did, I felt like gave it justice.
Yeah, it's tough because obviously you guys aren't a full-time documentary crew, that you were still students juggling a workload of 5 classes, and this was one of them. So I think it's forgivable that you didn't get footage of every single second, but I think you still did a very good job of visualizing that win streak and that run they went on. So let's see how you did that.
Honestly, going into the beginning of the season being 2-2, we weren't really worried, because us captains, we just kept looking at each other and we were like, we're still learning how to play with each other. Like, it's gonna come eventually. And then when it came, like, it was awesome.
I had to put all their egos in check. I want the money, the power, respect. And I heard you know so-and-so, you not a threat. Cause I really know so-and-so, they like my family. So they go pretend that they cool till they bust at the chest. I'm getting gutter, my flow been like butter, my check in the bank. They see the number, all of my haters feel one of 2 ways.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Now that we've seen a couple of clips and we've seen the relationship that you guys had with the team, after it was over and you had to have that moment when you showed the team, Brennan, how was it received by them?
Yeah, I think, well, it was just like a little side story leading up to that. I think Kieran and I are both pretty nervous. We, since our documentary was the longest, we watched all of our classmates' documentaries, so we saved ours for last. So we had a lot of time to sit around and just think about how the team was going to take it. I was feeling a little bit of the pressure because they were like kind enough to let us document this whole experience, and we built it up to be this kind of event, and we were hoping that they would receive it that way. And finally, when they did show up, one, it was amazing that they even showed up. They took time out of their day during finals week to come and watch this with us. That was awesome. And I think like some of them were not embarrassed, but it was seeing yourself on screen. It's like, oh, it's a little, you feel a little weird about it. But once like the footage just kept rolling, it was cool to see them kind of laugh at certain scenes and kind of relive that experience. And I think by the end of it, I think they really liked it. I think they really enjoyed it. And even just talking to the players that weren't able to make it and the coaches, they all seemed to just really loved going back and reliving that whole experience.
Yeah, so like Brennan mentioned, this was, again, a final project for my documentary production class in the spring of 2023. And the class assignment is actually a 5-minute documentary that an individual or a pair can make together. And so that night we screened the rest of the class. I think there was maybe 10 to 12 other students in the class. And so we watched each of theirs, which again was in that 3, 4, 5, 6-minute range. And then we have this, half an hour epic that you guys made sitting there at the end. So we made that decision to show it last. And so if members of the class wanted to stick around, they could. But we also wanted to make sure that the team had a time to come. So it was finals week, which is a very busy week for students. And a lot of them came, which was a lot of fun. We sat in one of our classrooms, which has a theater style of presentation. And I was really pleased. I mean, just to sit there and feel their response to it, I was really pleased with how it went. And I know that you guys were as well. You should have been. So after it was done, after these things are done, there are ways to kind of get sort of external review or external validation. about a project to see how it holds up outside of our community. And I know you guys submitted it for an award. So Kieran, can you talk about that process and then talk about the result of that process?
Sure. So I'm pretty sure as we were editing this, once we got to, well, we had both taken a bet in the beginning. Whenever we finished filming, we were like, all right, how long is this going to be? And I think we both landed on, it's probably going to be around 15 minutes. And we were like, that's going to be, 10 more minutes more than what Mr. Safin's asking for. But when it ended up being 30 minutes, I think we both kind of looked at each other and we were like, this is a little bit more than a school project. This, kind of turning into something that's a little bit more of a spectacle. And you had actually recommended me the video awards to submit it to, just a videography competition award, which is actually a worldwide competition. And that was a little bit, that made me feel a little bit of pressure. Like not that I was going to be, losing something, but I was like, okay, there's going to be people, all around the world watching this, judging it, and basing it off of how good it is. And ultimately, we did end up winning a gold video award, which is right in the middle. They have platinum, gold, and silver. And I think gold is, video excellence only accepted like 10,000 videos, I believe, out of the world, like from the world though, which is just like so insane to be in a category like that with people, obviously doing stuff like on budgets, and we were doing it on a zero budget, and that was pretty insane. But we've been selected for another film festival, and we have a couple more that we're waiting for to hear back from, so we should be excited to see where this takes us.
Yeah, it's like we make our things for our audience, the team, our local audience, our friends and family, the people who know us and who know the story and know Saint Vincent. But then you have to see how well does your presentation of a story hold up against other productions, and also how does someone outside of our sphere receive it, and that's when the stakes get raised. And having had you guys in the office looking at cuts, I mean, you guys were really good about showing me different cuts and getting some feedback. I knew from the beginning that this was going to be of a quality worthy of that. And just so everybody knows, the way these competitions work is that you have an entry fee, you submit the video, and then there's a panel of judges from the field who don't rate it against other projects. They have a standard. And if you meet a standard, you get silver. If you meet the next standard, you get gold. If you meet the next standard, you get what they call platinum. And based on the standard, they have this panel of professionals from the media industry determined that the work here was gold work. And I do think that was accurate. So congratulations to you guys. Again, I'm sure that you've heard that many times, but I still think it's good to hear it again.
Thank you.
All right. So there's a question that has yet to be answered about this process. We heard about the class, we heard about the access, we heard about the reception, but we don't know anything about you two. So how is it that you two came together on this project here at Saint Vincent? What is the backstory of Kieran and Brennan? Brennan, why don't you kick us off with that?
Yeah. So Kieran and I, we met in high school. We went to Central Catholic High School in Pittsburgh, and we met our freshman year. We just kind of, bonded over basketball and just kind of carried us throughout high school. And then we went our separate ways at the end of our senior year. Kieran went to Penn State Barron, and then I went to St. Vincent. And then junior year of college, Kieran transferred to St. Vincent, so we roomed together. And then our senior year, we were in this class together, and during college, we kind of really bonded over movies, and especially from your classes, we had like a passion for just being creative behind the camera. And this was like the perfect opportunity to come together and make a film about something that we both love. And yeah, so once you said that we're allowed to do it in pairs, Kieran and I immediately were like, all right, we got to make something together. And we settled on this, and the rest is history.
Is that all true, Kieran?
I would say all of it is true. Yeah. And I had actually, there was one time in 8th grade I had played up against, unknowingly, I played up against Brennan in a Christmas tournament for, our respective elementary schools. And I had no idea who he was. And then, coming into Central, I was like, oh, I remember that guy. And then we became friends after that. So it was just kind of it was always a thing of, oh wait, I know who that guy is. Let me see if I, we meet him. And then once we, like Brennan said, once we met, the rest is history. So.
All right. So, Brennan, you said that the two of you have a shared passion for films and that bonded you. So now that we're close to wrapping up, I wanted to ask you guys questions from a little questionnaire I have about films. There's 4 questions. And so I'm going to ask each of you these questions. So I'll start with Brennan. And then after Brennan gives his answer, we'll go to Kieran, and then we'll move on to the next one. And these are all about films. So the first question I have is, Brennan, what movie makes you laugh?
Makes me laugh. My mind immediately goes to Step Brothers. I think it's mainly not that it's mainly because one of my best friends that I grew up with, that's his favorite movie. And so seeing him, he loves that movie. So I think seeing him really enjoy it is what makes me laugh a lot at that movie. So I'd say that movie.
All right, Kieran, what about you?
I'm not going to lie. The Grand Budapest Hotel makes me laugh a lot. Like just quirky the characters are and everything, and how the shots tell how the characters are going to be. It makes me laugh every time.
It's funny, the Grand Budapest Hotel, that's a Wes Anderson film, and I know that he paid particular attention to aspect ratios, that he worked with, I think, 3 different aspect ratios throughout that. And I know that's something that you guys did with your film. So I don't know, maybe if there was some subtle Wes Anderson influence in there that maybe you guys weren't aware of. All right. So Kieran, I'll start with you on this one, which will give you time to think, Brennan. Kieran, what movie makes you cry?
I know that there's definitely a couple, but one that I can think of most recently is Guillermo del Toro's version of Pinocchio. I'm not gonna lie. I think whenever I watched that movie with a girlfriend, and it ruined me. I hated that I had to sit through that because of how sad and emotional it was. So I would say, I mean, there are definitely a handful, but I would say that one, I know if I ever watch that again, I probably will cry. So.
All right, Brennan, you're up.
So I don't know. I'm not a huge, movies don't really make me cry, but there was one where I had to excuse myself from the family room, go to the bathroom, make sure I was all right. It's called, I think, Warrior, or the one with the 2 brothers that are MMA fighters. I think that one, I did. There was a little, my eyes started watering, and mainly because I think I'm really close with my younger brother, and not that we're MMA fighters, but I think it was just the whole story of these 2 guys that kind of were separated throughout their life, and they come together in this moment, and they got to fight each other for this money. I don't know. It just made me feel, I was like, man, even just thinking about it now, it's that's what a weird scenario to be in.
So 2 films about brothers. So I think that there's a theme here. All right. So the next one, I'm going to start with Brennan, and then Kieran, you'll have some time to think. Brennan, what movie scares you?
Scares me. I think The Conjuring. That's my favorite scary movie of all time. I think when I was young when I saw it, and my younger brother and I, we shared a room. I could just remember, I was like, dude, I got to be as close to him as possible, man, because there's something lurking in the corners. But but yeah, definitely that one. And I go back and watch it now. It doesn't scare me as much anymore, but that was one, yeah, that haunted me for a while.
All right, Kieran.
Following along the same train, knowing that one of the main guys from The Conjuring is also in this movie, was Insidious. I saw that whenever I was younger, and it freaked me out ever since. I can go back and watch it now, like how Brennan said, and I'll be fine. But the demon with the red and black face paint standing behind him on that one scene just like shook my bones the first time I watched it. So that'll always stick with me. So,
all right, the last one, I would ask Kieran, what movie inspires you?
now I could go with the obvious one and say Rocky, because like it's an inspiring story, but I think for me, it's honestly Good Will Hunting really inspires me. Because it shows like the dynamic between like a person who thinks he knows everything and a person who's trying to help him realize you don't know everything. And so there's always that room to grow and to become a better person than you are, and to sometimes let go of the demons that you have in the past. And I feel like that, and I love Robin Williams, so I feel like that movie really just kind of inspires the hell out of me. So,
Brennan, what movie inspires you?
That's a tough one. It might sound weird initially, but I think the movie Up, the Pixar movie, I think mainly because I don't know, it's just this story of this man that loved his wife, and he carries out like their lifelong journey. And I think for me, it's not even just like about my girlfriend and that. I think it's just about like the people that you love. I think trying to be around them as much as possible, and then whether they're around or not, just kind of carry out their memory however you can. I think that's really something I strive to do and hope that I can do.
Yeah, that's a great pick too. I mean, and it's not just about inspiring you to want to go and run a 4-minute mile or something, but also inspire you to want to be better in life or to be better filmmakers. And I would say that your film is very inspiring. It's something that when people see it, when I see it, it makes me want to pick up a camera and tell a story again too, which is again a feat that you guys really accomplished with this film. And I would say, considering what we saw recently with Caitlin Clark at Iowa, and this renewed, invigorated response to women's athletics, women's basketball, I think you guys were a little bit prescient. You guys were a little bit ahead of the curve in tapping into that with your film. So well done. I hope that more people start to pay attention to women's sports, thanks to the great athletes who are out there and people like you who are shining light on their stories. So is there a way for people to watch this? Can they find it online anywhere?
yes, it's on. It's on both of our Vimeos, but my Vimeo link is my Instagram bio. I'm pretty sure Brennan's is as well. So if you just look up our names on Instagram, you'll see us, and you can just click the link right there, and it'll take you right to it.
All right, very good. I do hope that your views go up after people watch this show. So we're going to wrap it up. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you, Brennan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kieran.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all for watching. It's time for me to get back to work. So I will see you next time.